Ever feel like as a renter, your rights are just, I don't know, kind of getting ignored?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Happens to the best of us. Well, good news, folks. Today, we're tackling something super relevant for anyone renting in California, those common landlord violations.
Absolutely.
And we're not stopping there. We're going to go a step further and equip you with the know-how to actually address them.
That's right.
Think of it like your toolkit for navigating those, those sticky landlord situations, right?
Exactly. Because let's be honest, landlord issues, they can be so frustrating,
Oh, I hear you.
You can feel totally powerless. And honestly, that's why we're here. We want to give you that sense of empowerment back.
Yeah, and knowledge, right?
Knowledge is power, right?
Exactly.
So we're going to lay it all out, simple and clear, so you understand your rights, the steps you can take when a landlord just isn't playing by the rules.
Okay, love it. So we're talking range of violations here, right?
Oh, yeah, the whole spectrum.
Everything from, making sure your living space is actually livable.
Safe, yeah.
To dealing with harassment. And we're backing this up with insights from legal experts, solid resources, the real deal.
That's right.
Now, crucial reminder, folks, this is California specific, all right? This deep dive is for our California renters, but especially for those of you in Orange County, Riverside, San Diego, LA counties.
Mm-hmm.
If you're dealing with eviction worries, unlawful detainer stuff, or even, premises liability concerns, especially in apartments.
Right, yeah.
Resources are out there. MartinezLawCenter.com, that's a good starting point for you. Get the lowdown on your rights. Okay, so let's jump in. What are some of the bread and butter issues that lead to those tenant complaints? The kind of stuff that could even escalate to legal battles. What are we seeing?
Okay, so top of the list, security deposits.
Oh, yeah. Classic.
Big one, right? Not returned on time, improperly withheld. It's a recurring theme.
Every renter's nightmare.
It is. And here's the thing in California. You have the right to take legal action. If that deposit isn't back in your pocket within the legal time frame after you move out, you can push back.
Because it's your money.
It is.
It's your money. You're holding on to it.
Yeah. They need to handle it properly.
Absolutely. You hold up your end of the deal. You expect that money back. No funny business.
Right.
Okay, what else? What else is up there causing trouble for renters?
All right, so another biggie is when that lease agreement, that contract, it gets broken. And we're not just talking about missing amenities.
Right.
Like, no laundry room, no parking spot.
Right.
It's broader than that.
Right.
It's about the landlord not doing what they're supposed to do. That's clearly written in that lease. The golden rule is, if it's on paper, agreed to, it's got to be honored.
100%. That lease, that's the bedrock.
Foundation.
Yeah, the foundation of that whole agreement. Okay, this next one, this sounds stressful. Landlord harassment. What does that even mean for someone renting?
All right, so landlord harassment, it's basically a bunch of aggressive tactics, think like bullying, to force tenants out, intimidate them, scare them from standing up for themselves.
Wow.
And the worst part, it completely undermines your right to just live peacefully in your home.
Yeah, that's not cool. Can we get specific? What does that harassment look like? Because, I feel like that's a word that can have a lot of different meanings.
Okay, so imagine, right, your landlord just shuts off your utilities. Gas, electricity, water.
Out of the blue.
Yep, that's a huge red flag.
That's wild.
Could even be considered an illegal eviction attempt.
Oh, wow.
Another common one, they barge into your place without proper notice. California, it's 24 hours. They got to respect it.
Yeah.
Then you've got the landlords who just refuse to do repairs, the essential ones, the ones that impact your health, your safety. Not okay.
No.
Then there's the sneaky stuff. Changing locks with going through the right channels.
Shady.
Super shady. And then, of course, those ridiculous rent hikes.
Yeah.
Out of nowhere, without the proper notice. California, that's 30 to 90 days, depending on how much they're jacking it up.
Makes sense.
And it's not always just about the property itself.
All right.
Personal harassment, that's a whole other beast. Threats, sexual harassment, verbal abuse.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
That's crossing a serious line.
Huge violation.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've talked about what is harassment, what's not considered harassment, even if it's, a little bit of a pain or the tenant disagrees with it.
Good question. So let's be clear, right? Emergency situation, fire in the building, burst pipe, landlord comes in to fix it. That's not harassment.
Right.
That's them doing their job. Raising the rent, also not harassment as long as they follow the rules. Legal notice, any rent control laws, they got to stick to that.
Makes sense.
Even the whole legal eviction process, yeah, it's tough for the tenant, no doubt.
Absolutely.
But it's the lawful way to do it. That in itself isn't harassment.
Right, it's the process.
Exactly. And in very specific cases, documented situations like domestic violence.
Oh, right, yeah.
Tenant requests a lock change for safety. Landlord does it by the book. That's legitimate.
Totally.
It's about drawing a line.
Yeah, yeah. That's really helpful, actually, to know where that line is. What else? What are some other big reasons tenants in California might file a complaint?
Right, so sadly, discrimination is still a huge problem.
Ugh, yeah.
It's straight up illegal for a landlord to treat you unfairly, deny you housing because of who you are. Race, ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation, disability, family status.
Right, right.
Protected characteristics. Doesn't matter.
Shouldn't matter.
It shouldn't. This is fair housing, folks. Basic rights. If that happens, you file a complaint.
100%. Your home should be your safe space, no matter who you are.
Exactly.
Okay, let's talk about the actual place itself, the property. What's the landlord's responsibility when it comes to making sure it's like a decent place to live?
So this is where California law gets interesting. We've got this concept called implied warranty of habitability.
Okay.
Big words, but it's a major win for renters. Basically, no matter what your lease says, your landlord has to keep your place safe and livable the whole time you're renting. And California spells out pretty clearly what uninhabitable means.
Interesting. So let's hear it. Uninhabitable condition, legally speaking, in California, what are we talking about? What subrenters be looking out for?
Okay, so according to the California Civil Code and Health and Safety Code, it's a pretty comprehensive list. First up, waterproofing, weather protection. Leaky roof.
Not good.
Nope. Windows, doors that don't seal properly, letting in rain drafts. That's a problem.
Makes sense.
Plumbing is huge. No hot water, no cold water. Sewage backups, those are big no-nos.
Ugh, yeah.
Then you've got the heating situation.
Right.
Faulty gas, heating systems, those are essential.
Essential.
Electrical system, exposed wires, outlets that don't work, that's dangerous. Cleanliness, sanitation, that's a big one. Pest infestations like roaches, rats.
Oh, no.
Garbage piling up, also a problem.
Right, right.
Even if they don't provide the right garbage disposal setup, that can make a place uninhabitable. And don't forget about the structural stuff. Floors, stairways, railings, they got to be maintained. It's about safety, basic living standards.
It really lays out like the bare minimum, what a landlord needs to provide.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we covered a lot of ground there. Anything else that might prompt a tenant to file a complaint?
Sometimes it's about the neighbors.
Yeah.
If the landlord just ignores constant issues, major disturbances from other tenants, that could be a violation too.
Right, right.
Especially if it messes with your peace and quiet, your right to enjoy your own place. And like we talked about before, ignoring those repair requests, the crucial ones that they're responsible for, based on the lease.
Yeah.
That's a common gripe. Basically, anything that interferes with your quiet enjoyment.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
That's a legal term, being able to live peacefully without constant hassle.
Right, just being able to exist in your own space.
Exactly. That's protected. If it's violated, you have grounds to complain.
Got it. And lastly, let's talk evictions. What do renters need to know about, the wrong way to evict someone, the illegal stuff?
So this is crucial, okay? In California, you can't just boot someone out without following the legal steps.
Right.
It has to go through the courts.
Okay.
No DIY evictions allowed. Landlords can't change the locks, toss your belongings, nothing like that. Specific process, they got to follow it.
Got it. So if a renter is dealing with one of these violations, first step, what do they do?
First things first, talk to the landlord. Direct communication. But here's the pro tip. Put it in writing.
Okay.
Email, formal letter, whatever. Creates a paper trail.
The smart.
Documents everything.
Proof.
Exactly. Their response, or lack thereof, it's all there. There are even resources online, templates for those demand letters, to make it official. Having that record, it can be a lifesaver if things go south.
Yeah, that paper trail, that's like your protection.
It is.
Okay, so what if talking gets you nowhere? What are the official channels, for filing a complaint in California?
All right, so you've got options. Discrimination, harassment, retaliation, that kind of stuff. The big player is the California Civil Rights Department.
Okay.
They go by DFEH. They've got this online portal, Cal's Civil Rights System. You can file right there.
Convenient.
Super easy. Or you can mail in a housing intake form. They've got an office in Elk Grove.
Okay.
And they have a communication center. You can call them up. The point is, there are ways to get your voice heard.
Options are good. What about those more localized issues, stuff that might be specific to a city or a county?
Oh, yeah, good point. Lots of counties and cities in California, they've got their own agencies for tenant complaints.
Right.
Hyperlocal, dealing with specific ordinances, housing code. Like Los Angeles, they've got the housing department. They handle violations of the city's rent stabilization ordinance, the housing code.
Got it.
San Francisco, the Department of Public Health tackles health and safety hazards in homes. And the San Francisco Rent Board. They cover a wider range of issues: living conditions, rent control. Inland Empire, there's the Fair Housing Council of Riverside. They do dispute resolution, mediation. Orange County, they've got their Fair Housing Council too, investigating discrimination, even providing legal help. East Bay, there's the Alameda Rent Stabilization Program, all about Alameda's rent control laws.
Wow, so many resources.
So many.
Yeah, it's good to know that's out there.
It's worth checking. Always see if your county, your city, has a dedicated housing agency or a tenant rights group. They're there to help.
Absolutely. Okay, so we've talked about the state level, even the local level. What about federal stuff? Anything at the national level for complaints?
Yep, you can go straight to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD.
HUD.
They handle housing discrimination complaints nationwide, and they also oversee landlords who own those federally assisted properties.
Okay.
So if you're in HUD-insured or HUD-assisted housing and you're having problems like maintenance is bad, safety issues, mismanagement, even fraud, report it. HUD's multifamily housing complaint line, that's where you go. For discrimination complaints specifically, there's HUD's Office of Fair Housing and Equal Opportunity.
Okay, good to know. What about the Better Business Bureau? I've always heard of them. Is that a good place for a renter to go?
So the Better Business Bureau, the BBB, they're more about those larger businesses, companies, big property management firms, they might be listed. Individual landlords, not so much. And the BBB, they don't usually get involved in disputes between like two individuals.
Okay.
But if you're dealing with a big management company,
Right.
they might care about a BBB complaint because their rating, it matters to potential renters. And if they're accredited, ignoring a complaint, that could mess with their accreditation.
Interesting. There may be an option in certain situations. What happens if a renter goes through all this, tries all these channels and still no resolution? What's next?
All right, so if nothing else works, California tenants can go to small claims court.
Okay.
Sue the landlord. This is usually for things like getting that security deposit back or getting compensated for property damage that the landlord's responsible for.
Right.
In California, you can sue for up to $12,500 in small claims court as an individual.
Got it.
The process, you file a claim, officially serve the landlord with a lawsuit, then there's a hearing. Good news is lots of courts are doing these virtually now.
Oh, that's helpful.
Super convenient. And often the court will offer mediation. Try to settle things before it goes to a judge. There are standard court forms, too, to make it easier.
So small claims court, it's a way to get that financial justice. Let's flip it for a second, talk about the landlord's perspective. What are the legal consequences if they're caught harassing a tenant?
Landlord harassment in California, it's taken seriously. Tenants can sue, go after those harassing landlords.
Okay.
They can seek different kinds of compensation. Damages for emotional distress, that's a big one.
Yeah.
Punitive damages, basically to punish the landlord for being so bad. And sometimes they can even get their legal fees covered.
Oh, wow.
The court can also issue an injunction.
Okay.
That's a court order forcing the landlord to stop the harassment.
Oh, that's powerful.
It is. And in serious cases, especially if there's physical harm, real threats, landlords can face criminal charges.
Wow.
Fines, even jail time in some cases.
Serious stuff.
Yeah. Local agencies, they can also get involved. They can revoke or suspend a landlord's rental permits or licenses if they're found guilty of harassment. In places with rent control, harassing tenants can mean the landlord can't raise the rent, can't evict people for a while. And if it's discriminatory harassment, Fair Housing Act comes into play. They could face claims under that.
Right.
And let's not forget reputation.
Oh, yeah.
Word gets around.
Totally.
Engaging in that kind of behavior, it makes it tough to find good tenants, keep them. So, yeah, there are consequences.
Big time consequences. Hopefully that's a deterrent.
You would hope.
Yeah. Okay, we talked about this before, but just to make it crystal clear, what are some things landlords in California are absolutely not allowed to do, even if a tenant isn't paying rent?
All right, this is so important to understand. Even if rent's late, landlords cannot resort to those self-help eviction tactics.
Right, right.
Totally illegal. They can't lock you out, shut off your utilities, water, gas, electricity.
Yeah.
They can't suddenly reduce services that were part of the deal, like access to the laundry room. They can't stop doing those necessary repairs, especially the ones that impact health and safety, and forget about making up their own fake eviction notices.
Right.
None of that. They have to go through the proper legal process, file that unlawful detainer lawsuit in court. That's the only way.
So it's about process. They can't just take the law into their own hands.
Exactly.
All right, so for renters who are experiencing this, any of this illegal stuff, other violations, what's the single most important thing they can do to protect themselves?
Document, document, document. You have to keep track of everything, every single incident, write it down. Date, time, what happened, detailed description. Any communication with the landlord, emails, texts, letters, keep copies. If you can, get evidence, photos, videos.
Proof, proof, proof.
Yes, because if you need to file a complaint, go to court. That documentation is gold.
It's armor.
It is.
Okay, so keep that detailed log. And what should a tenant do first when they're trying to get these issues resolved?
Always try talking to your landlord first. We said it, but it's worth repeating. And do it in writing. If that gets you nowhere, then you level up. Send a formal demand letter clearly outlining the problems, what you want the landlord to do to fix them. Before going to court, consider mediation.
Okay.
It's less combative, often cheaper, and sometimes you can work things out. And remember, if you're ever feeling lost, confused about your rights, unsure what to do, get some help. Tenant rights attorney, local tenant advocacy groups, they can give you the guidance you need.
Solid advice for our listeners in Orange County, Riverside, San Diego, LA counties. Remember, martinezlawcenter.com, they've got resources for you. They can help you understand your rights.
Yes, absolutely. So much good information there.
This has been a really insightful deep dive.
I agree.
And just to wrap it all up, what's the main takeaway for California renters? What's the one thing you want them to remember?
Know your rights. That's the foundation. Once you know what you're entitled to, that's where your power comes from.
Knowledge is power, yeah.
It is. And remember, there's help out there. Resources, different paths you can take. Talk to your landlord, go to mediation, file a formal complaint, even take legal action if you need to.
There are options. So if you're in those counties we mentioned, Orange County, Riverside, San Diego, LA counties, want to learn more about your specific rights, check out martinezlawcenter.com. All right, any last thoughts for our listeners?
Sure. So knowing your rights, it's not just about protecting yourself.
Okay.
It's about creating a fairer system for everyone who rents.
Makes sense.
So think about it. What steps will you take to make sure your rights are respected in your own rental situation? That's the question to ask yourself.
Food for thought, folks. That's it for the deep dive.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
All right, see you next time.
Call now 714-442-9741. Thank you.